Hello, I'm looking at the homework and I want to go over the offensive tackles in college football, question number 1. And then I'll briefly talk about number 2 to help you out. For a statistics project, Lawrence creates slips of paper. Honestly, none of that's important. I've never read it and it didn't make a difference. Offensive tackles in college football is what my graphs are showing me. I have a Division I football team and I have a Division II football team. And because I'm looking closely, I can see that these numbers represent the weights of the players. It says, which of the following statements is not supported by the data? All right. It says the spreads of the data. Well, if I'm going to be comparing spreads, then I actually need to solve for the spread. So let's do this. These are not actually exact, but I am going to draw some lines to help me figure out what is what. See how that's not exactly 260? It's just a little bit after that. Oops. That one's exactly, that one's not exact. But having some kind of straight edge to help determine the values of these quartiles is helpful. And then I'm going to go ahead and write the number above so I don't have to think about it again. So this looks like it's 245. This one is 320. This one, I'm still going to say it's 335, even though, well, no, I'll do 336 because it looks like it's 336. And then the lowest quartile, not at 260, not quite to 265. I'm going to say 262. Okay. So if I'm comparing spreads, it says the data distributions are within 5 pounds of each other. Here's another way, and let's see if this works because I hadn't tried it before. If I measure the distance, because remember, spread is how far it is from lowest quartile to highest quartile. I'm sorry, not quartile, minimum to maximum. If I do this comparison, they look identical to me. Do you see what I just did? I measured that distance compared to that distance, identical. So let's do this. 262 and 336. Subtracting these. I got 74. And then here, 320 minus 245 is 75. So are they within 5 pounds of each other? The answer is yes. So that's a true statement, which means it's not what I'm looking for. The next one, the median weight of an offensive tackle. So median means middle. Middle for this guy is 290 for Division I. So let me see this. Division I is 290. And Division II is 280. 280. So when I read it again, it says the median weight of 280 is less than 15 pounds lower than the median weight of an offensive tackle for Division I, which is 290. I'm looking at that. I see a difference of 10. So it is less than 15 pounds lower. So that's also a true statement. Okay. Letter C. The data distribution for both divisions are skewed left. Skewed left would mean that my data is being pulled towards the left. The longer portions are towards the left, and that's not true. If anything, this is skewed a little bit to the right, and this one's not really skewed at all. It could be a little, but that is not a true statement, which is what they're looking for. This is false. And just to be on the safe side, I look at the next one. The IQR, the interquartile for Division II, is about 2 times the interquartile for Division I. Well, let's look. Interquartile range. Interquartile is looking at quartile 1, and quartile 3. Here we have a little bit past 280, so 281 on the low end. Low end, and on the high end, it's at 300. Subtract those. Got 19 for division 1. I'll write that down here. And then for division 2, it's saying it's 2 times that. Division 2, we've got, what did I say? That was 262. 262. And on the high end, 305. Subtract 43. So 43, doubled to 40. Oh, that's close. Okay, this one, and it does say about. Okay, because it says about, 43 is about 2 times 19. Okay, if I'm doing 20 times 2, that's going to give me 40. That's close to 43. And again, it's this one word that says about that I'm going to agree and say that this is a true statement. The other thing that helped me make my decision is clearly I can see that both divisions are not skewed to the left. So letter C is correct for number 1. And very quickly, looking at number 2, we talked about this in class where we talk about more variation and less variation. It says, what conclusion can you make about the weights? It says there's less variation in the weights of offensive tackles in Division 1 than Division 2. Well, let's look. Division 1, and remember, we're talking about box sizes. Look at how much data is compacted into these small. This is 50% of what I'm looking at, right? This is 50%, those 2 boxes. Whereas these 2 boxes also represent 50% of my data. Which one has more variability? Which one is more varied? Well, looks like Division 2 is more varied. So it says there's less division in 1 than 2. That's not true, because you're seeing that it's very compact in Division 1. That there's more variation in Division 1 than there is Division 2. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that backwards. This one I read backwards. Less variation in 1. Yes, less variation in 1 because they're tightly compacted with the same amount of data, right? But the only difference is that 1 is more spread out. So yes, there is less variation. So that looks like my true answer. It says there's more. No, definitely not more. Offensive tackles in Division 2 are larger. Well, no, larger would mean that they weigh more, and Division 2 actually weighs less, so that's not true. And then it says they must weigh at least 250 pounds. Well, that's not true either, because you got some dudes over here that are weighing 245 and a little bit higher than that. So letter F has to be correct for number 2.